Kelly and his friends, Tanya and Lucy, were outside a club they had just been in. They were about to go home and decided to do a round of dares. "You see that guy?" Tanya pointed toward a sleek black limo parked across the street, where a tall man in all black leaned casually against the door like he was on the cover of a magazine. "I dare you to kiss him. 10 seconds. I'll pay for your groceries this week." Kelly glanced at the man. He was wearing a black dress shirt, black slacks, long dark coat. "Why do you always dare me to kiss men who look like they have bodies in their trunk?" "Because you're dumb enough to do it." "She's not wrong." Lucy nodded. Kelly groaned. "I better get name brand cereal for this." He then began staggering across the street, a little tipsy. The man didn't even glance at him as he approached. "Hi," Kelly said, overly cheerful because that's what he did when he was nervous. The man looked down at him and slowly raised one eyebrow, expression unreadable. Kelly's voice cracked. "Aya, you look like you could use a kiss." There was a pause, a long one. Then the man finally said, "Do I?" It wasn't said with amusement or flirtation. It was deadpan, like a warning. Kelly's stomach flipped, but he was too far gone now. "Yep, sorry in advance." He rose on his toes, grabbed the man's jacket collar, and kissed him. It was supposed to be a fast kiss and then he'd run away. But instead, the man's hand snapped around his waist and pulled him in. The kiss deepened, instantly, like Kelly had flipped a switch he wasn't meant to touch. There was tongue, and heat, and a rough, low sound from the man's throat that made Kelly's knees buckle. The grip on his waist was tight, commanding, like he was being claimed. Kelly ripped away with a gasp. "Okay, thank you. That was wow. Gotta go." He turned and ran back across the street. "Holy shit, Kelly." Tanya grabbed his arm. "See, do you know who that was?" "I'm hot. Definitely hot." Lucy shoved her phone in his face. "James Moretti. Heir to the freaking Moretti Mafia family." Kelly blinked. "I'm sorry. The what?" Tanya smacked his arm. "You kissed the guy who probably kills people for fun." "Oh my God, I'm dead," Kelly shouted. "Did you give him your number?" Lucy asked, panicking. "No, I think I dropped my phone while running." "Oh my God." They all stared across the street. The man, James, was gone. The limo was gone, and so was Kelly's phone. The next morning, Kelly hadn't slept since the night before. He'd gone back to the bar at 6 a.m. to look for his phone, but he couldn't find anything. "I'm gonna die," he muttered as he walked into his art theory lecture that afternoon. The lecture was in the middle of his lecture when the classroom door opened, and in walked James, wearing a black shirt, black coat, and a casual expression like he didn't just make Kelly's heart skip. James walked straight up the aisle, ignoring the lecturer and every stunned stare, and stopped in front of Kelly's desk. He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out Kelly's phone, and placed it gently on the desk. Kelly blinked and shakily pulled back his hoodie a little. James leaned in. "You should set a passcode next time." Kelly's mouth opened but nothing came out. James straightened up and walked out without another word. Kelly stared at his phone for a long moment after James left. He didn't move until the lecture ended and the room began to clear out. Lucy stood, hesitating like she wanted to say something but thought better of it. Tanya didn't move at all. She sat behind him, quiet, which was unusual for her. Kelly finally tapped the screen, his fingers trembling a bit. The phone was locked. He tried 1234. No luck. Then the screen lit up with a message from an unknown number saying, "The password is 6969. Kelly rolled his eyes in disbelief and entered the code. It unlocked. The first thing he saw was a new lock screen wallpaper. It was James, sitting in the back of his limo, one hand tugging at the collar of his black shirt, staring into the camera. Kelly swallowed. He actually looked really hot, but he didn't want to admit that. Tanya slowly got up and moved to the seat beside him. "Hey," she said quietly. He didn't answer. "Kelly," she tried again. "I didn't know, I swear. I just thought he was a hot guy in a suit outside a bar." Kelly kept staring at the phone, then finally looked at her. "I kissed a man who has probably ordered people's teeth pulled out." "I'm sorry." Tanya's voice cracked a little. "I didn't mean to put you in danger." Kelly sighed. "I know." There was a pause. Then he whispered, "Do you think he's going to hurt me?" Tanya reached out, gently putting a hand over his. "I don't think he would have brought your phone back if he wanted to hurt you." He could have just kept it. Kelly looked down at their hands. Then he stood. I need air. He didn't wait for her to follow. He just left the classroom, his phone clutched tightly in his hand. The next evening, Kelly laid face down on the couch like a corpse. Not a sexy corpse. Not a poetic, Romeo and Juliet-style tragedy corpse. Just a very tired, very emotionally confused corpse. Tanya was sitting cross-legged on the floor, eating his cereal that she bought for him after he completed the dare, straight from the box. Lucy was occasionally poking his cheek with the end of a spoon like she was trying to confirm if he was still alive. Okay, so what if we got you a new phone? Tanya offered. Kelly mumbled into the cushion. He'd probably still find it and text me nice try in 5 minutes. Okay, fair, she muttered. Lucy perked up. What if we went out again tonight? Shake it off, dance a little. Tanya and Kelly both turned their heads to glare at her like she just grew another head. Lucy blinked. What? That's where we met him, Tanya said flatly. Yeah, Kelly added. Let's not go back to the place where I 10-punched a Mafia's son. Lucy shrugged. Well, when you put it like that, wait, tongue punch. Then Kelly's phone buzzed. All three of them stared at it. It lay on the coffee table. Nobody wanted to go near it. Buzz. Buzz. The screen lit up with that lock screen again that Kelly needed to change. Kelly opened the phone just to see a message from the unknown number. Unknown number. Eat something. I sent food. Should be at your door by now. Just then, the doorbell rang. Kelly's entire face went pale. Tanya stood and slowly walked to the door. What if it's a head in a box or something? She whispered. She opened the door cautiously. A very normal delivery guy stood there holding a large, elegant food bag with a gold seal and a small white note attached. For Kelly, he asked. Tanya turned to stare at Kelly like he had just become the main character in a Mafia Netflix series. She took the bag and read the note out loud. Don't skip meals. Next time I'll feed you myself. There was a beat of silence. Then Lucy bluntly said, okay, but is anyone else kinda turned on or just me? Tanya threw a pillow at her. Kelly covered his face. I'm not eating that, he said, scooting back into the couch like it might lunge at him. Oh my God, you're such a drama queen, Tanya huffed, tearing the seal. If he wanted to poison you, you'd be dead already. Well, thanks for the comfort, Kelly said flatly. Lucy peeked into the bag, her eyebrows raised. Holy crap, this isn't just food. This is, like, seduction. Tanya pulled out container after container. It was filled with delicious fancy delicacies. Then she found the last container and paused before opening it slowly. Is that? Lucy leaned over. Kelly looked, then blinked. No way. Inside was a neatly packed box of strawberry frosted donuts, his favorite guilty pleasure. Okay, now I'm scared, he muttered. Tanya whispered, he knows. He probably saw it in one of our Instagram posts, guys. Don't be scared. Kelly picked up the note again and a flush crawled up his neck. He whipped out his phone with slightly shaking fingers and furiously typed back. Kelly, stop texting me like we're dating. This is weird. Also, stop sending food. I don't eat bribes. Also, how the hell did you know about the donuts? The reply came within seconds. James, you kissed me. You started this. And I don't bribe, I spoil. Also, your friends post a lot. Kelly dropped his phone like it was on fire. I'm gonna pass out. Lucy picked it up off the rug. I think I'm in love with him now, sorry. Tanya shoved her. You're making it worse. Kelly snatched the phone back and typed again, a little shakier. Kelly, what do you want from me? This time, James took a little longer to respond. The message finally buzzed in. James, you. Kelly dropped his phone immediately, after reading the text. Okay, he said. That's enough Mafia attention for one day. Lucy was already opening one of the containers. Okay, but eat first. If he kills you tomorrow, at least you'll die with flavor. Later that night, the apartment was too quiet once Tanya and Lucy left. Kelly stood at the sink, staring blankly at the cake box next to the untouched pasta. He hadn't touched anything. Even now, his stomach twisted at the smell of warm food. But he wasn't hungry. He was scared. It had crawled into his chest the moment he saw James's text, the one that said that he wanted him. What the hell did that even mean? They didn't know each other. They'd never spoken. Kelly had kissed him once. It was a stupid dare that had gone way too far. And now this man was sending him food and saying things like I spoil. It wasn't normal. It wasn't sweet. It felt like something was watching him. Kelly snatched his phone that was sitting on the counter and immediately changed the wallpaper. He hesitated a bit before also blocking James. The moment he blocked him, he felt like the room got colder. He sat down on the couch and tossed the phone beside him, trying to convince himself it was the right thing. He wasn't some romantic movie protagonist. This was real life. And Kelly was terrified. A knock on the door made him jump so hard he nearly fell off the couch. It was late, nearly midnight. No one knocked at his door at this time. There was another knock, firmer. His breath caught in his chest as he walked slowly to the door. Then he pressed his eye to the peephole trying to see the person on the other side. Black clothes, tall silhouette, a cap covering the person's face. Kelly's heart stopped. Oh God, it was James. James was here. He found out that Kelly blocked him. He was going to break in. He was going to kill him. Kelly stumbled back from the door, and just as he was about to run for the back window, there was a voice. Delivery for Kelly. The man's voice called out, slightly confused. You ordered double bacon cheeseburgers and extra onion rings. Kelly froze. He remembered ordering food because he didn't want to eat the one James bought for him. He very slowly crept back to the door and checked the peephole again. The black jacket had the name of the restaurant on the back. The man turned slightly, revealing the paper bag and a very bored expression. Oh my God, Kelly exhaled, and locking the door with trembling hands. He opened it, took the bag and mumbled, thanks. The delivery guy blinked. You good man. You look like you saw a ghost. I thought I did, Kelly muttered, already closing the door. It had been a week. One full, uneventful, quiet, anxiety-filled week. No strange texts. No mystery packages. Nothing from James Moretti. As the days passed, the silence only made him more anxious. He'd lie in bed at night, thinking he heard someone outside. He'd flinch every time his phone buzzed. He stopped ordering food altogether. And every single time someone in a black car drove by campus, he ducked behind a damn bush. Tanya and Lucy kept teasing him, saying James had probably moved on. Maybe he's seducing a new victim now, Lucy had joked. He's probably kissing his next dare boy somewhere. Kelly had laughed. He didn't know if he wanted him to move on or he just liked the attention. On the 8th day, in the middle of his 10 a.m. art history of the Renaissance class, Kelly sat near the back, sipping his third iced coffee, trying not to fall asleep while the professor lectured. He was half listening, half sketching on the side of his notes, when the classroom door creaked open. Everyone looked. The professor stopped mid-sentence, and in walked a man in a fitted black shirt, designer coat and sunglasses, still on despite being indoors. James Moretti. Kelly choked so hard on his coffee he nearly dropped the cup. A few students actually gasped after they realized who he was. The professor cleared her throat. Can I help you? James pushed the sunglasses up into his hair, eyes sweeping the room slowly. I transferred in late, he said coolly. Sorry for the interruption. The professor glanced at her clipboard, confused. I don't have you on the list. I know, but I'm sure that can be fixed, James said, not even pretending to be bothered. He didn't even look at her. His eyes finally found Kelly, and they were locked on him. Kelly, who was currently sinking lower and lower into his chair, praying the floor would open up and swallow him. James smirked. And then petty Mafia he walked straight down the aisle slowly and took the empty seat beside Kelly. The class was silent. Kelly could feel every cell in his body vibrating with panic. James leaned over, voice low enough for only him to hear. Miss me, cupcake. Kelly's mouth opened but no sound came out. He refused to make eye contact. He sat up straight, eyes locked on the projector screen, pretending James Moretti was not sitting next to him. Nothing to say. James leaned in just a little. I thought we were past the shy phase, sweetheart. Kelly turned an inch. I don't know you, he hissed without looking. You're in the wrong seat. James chuckled. Oh, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Please stop talking to me. James shrugged. All right. Kelly exhaled in relief, only for a folded piece of paper to slide across the table toward him a second later. He stared at it, then at James to see him wiggling his brows. Kelly cautiously unfolded the note. You're cute when you're mad. Lunch. Kelly scribbled back. I'm not hungry or interested. He slid it back without looking. 2 seconds later, another paper returned. Meet me outside after class, or I'll come in here with lunch and feed it to you in front of everyone. Kelly blinked in horror and turned to see James giving him the smuggest smirk known to man. The professor dismissed the class, and before James could say a word, Kelly shoved his sketchbook into his bag and bolted for the door. He heard Tanya and Lucy shout his name somewhere behind him, but he didn't stop. Kelly darted into the art building, pretending to admire a random sculpture just in case James was following. Then he slipped through the back exit and jogged toward the campus gardens. He peeked over his shoulder. No James. Maybe he did it. Maybe he was actually free. But then a hand caught his wrist. Kelly yelped, spinning around, and almost headbutted James Morty right in the chest. James stood there, sunglasses back on, hand gripping Kelly's wrist like he'd been expecting this. He smirked down at him. Running from me? I'm hurt, cupcake. Kelly's heart raced so fast it made him dizzy. I was just getting some air. In the opposite direction of the lunch I planned. James tilted his head innocently. That's really cold, Kelly. Kelly tried to yank his hand free, but James didn't let go. Instead, he gently tugged him closer. I was going to take it slow. You know, James murmured, voice dropping dangerously low. Give you some space. Kelly swallowed hard. He could feel every inch of James's body heat now. But then you ran, James added, smirking. And now I'm starting to think you like making things difficult. Kelly's cheeks burned. I don't even like you, he blurted out. James chuckled darkly. You will. Kelly's mouth opened, ready to cuss him out, which will put him in a dangerous position, but then Tanya's voice rang out behind them. Hey lovebirds. Kelly twisted around to see Tanya and Lucy speed walking across the quad toward them, both waving their arms like drunk cheerleaders. Don't mind us, Lucy called out. We're just stalking. James laughed under his breath. Your friends are growing on me. Kelly groaned. Now, come have lunch with me, James said, pulling Kelly toward his car. Kelly should have known something was wrong when James opened the door of his sleek, black Maserati and said, After you, baby doll. He'd spent the whole ride gritting his teeth while James hummed along to some old Italian song like they were on a honeymoon. No big deal, Kelly told himself. It's just lunch, just lunch. Then they pulled up to Costello, the most expensive restaurant in the entire damn city. Kelly climbed out of the car feeling like he'd been transported into a Mafia movie. Waiters in tuxedos, crystal chandeliers. One guy playing an actual harp in the corner. This is just lunch, Kelly whispered under his breath as they walked inside. James smirked. What? You wanted McDonald's. Kelly flushed but didn't answer, especially when the hostess practically curtsied when she saw James. They got a table by the windows, private, secluded, romantic. Exactly what Kelly didn't want. He spent most of the first 10 minutes fiddling with his fork, ignoring the way James kept casually looking at him with those gorgeous eyes. So Kelly, James said smoothly, you gonna keep pretending you're not interested all semester? Kelly shot him a dry look. I'm here because you threatened to feed me in class. James grinned and bothered. Tomato tomato. Kelly was about to fire back when a voice interrupted them. Hey, you okay, dude? He bothering you? Kelly looked up to see a tall guy smiling down at him. Probably mid-20s, casual, handsome. Kelly opened his mouth to answer but James beat him to it. He's fine, James said, voice sharp and dangerous, arms sliding possessively around Kelly's shoulders. Kelly froze, feeling the hard press of James's hand against his collarbone. The guy blinked, realizing who James was. Oh, I'm sorry, it just looked like. I said, James repeated, squeezing Kelly's shoulder just slightly. He's fine. The temperature at the table dropped 5 degrees. The guy looked like he was about to faint for a minute there. I'm sorry, Mr. Moretti. James didn't even blink until he was gone. Kelly sat stiffly, heart hammering. Then he slowly peeled James's hand off him and set it back on the table like it was a dirty napkin. Don't ever do that again, he said, voice tight. James looked at him, startled. Kelly, I'm not your property, Kelly snapped, standing up so fast his chair scraped loudly across the marble floor. James's jaw tightened. For a second, something dark flashed across his face, something possessive, but he gritted his teeth and forced it down. You're right, he said stiffly. You're not. Kelly grabbed his bag and without another word, he turned and stormed out of the restaurant. That evening, James stormed into the study of the Moretti mansion, slamming the door so hard the guards outside flinched. Across the room, his father, Don Moretti himself, sat in a leather chair, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He looked up lazily, one eyebrow lifting. "Problem?" he asked in his deep voice. James paced like a caged animal, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know what the fuck I'm doing." Don Moretti set down his whiskey, folding his hands. "Girl trouble?" he asked dryly. James muttered under his breath. "What was that?" Don asked. James gritted his teeth. "Boy trouble." Silence. The Don blinked once, then shrugged. "A heart is a heart." James barked a short laugh. Trust his father to be completely unfazed by that. The Don leaned back in his chair. "So, what did you do?" James rubbed his face. I got jealous. Some idiot talked to him, and I acted like a fucking psycho. Grabbed him in public." The Don nodded wisely. "You tried to stake a claim." James shot him a look. "I'm not a dog." "You are Moretti," the Don corrected calmly. "Same thing." James groaned and dropped into the chair opposite him, burying his head in his hands. The Don sipped his whiskey. "Listen to me. If you want to keep him," he leaned forward, "you have to make him choose you freely. You cannot cage what you want most." James lifted his head, staring at his father. "And if that doesn't work?" he asked. The Don smiled, a sharp, knowing thing. "Then you make him realize," he said, but carefully. James sat there for a long moment, his heart hammering. Then he stood up. He had somewhere he needed to be. "I'm Kelly's apartment." Kelly threw himself face first into his bed the moment he got home. He ignored Tanya's concerned texts. He ignored Lucy's memes. He just wanted to forget James Moretti existed. He didn't know how long he lay there, stewing in embarrassment and fury, when there was a knock at the door. Slowly, Kelly rolled over and stared at the door like it might bite him. Slowly, he got up and walked to the door. He peeked through the peephole and immediately wished he hadn't. James stood there, leaning casually against the doorframe, wearing a black hoodie and jeans, looking normal. Kelly opened the door halfway, blocking it with his body. "What do you want?" he said flatly. James didn't say anything for a second. Then with his voice low and rough, he said, Kelly swallowed hard. "You can't just," he began angrily. James raised both hands, stepping back. "I'm not here to drag you anywhere. I'm not here to touch you unless you ask." Kelly blinked, thrown off balance. James shoved his hands deep into his pockets. "I was wrong," James said. "I shouldn't have acted like you were mine." Kelly stared at him. "And," he demanded. "And," James's mouth twisted like the words physically hurt. "I'm sorry." Kelly almost slammed the door on him out of sheer stubbornness. But he didn't. He hesitated. Because for a Mafia heir, James looked nervous. Truly, honestly nervous. "I don't want to scare you," James said quietly. I don't know how to do this shit, Kelly." Kelly sighed. Why did he have to look so damn sincere? "You're an idiot," Kelly muttered. James's mouth tugged into a small, almost boyish smile. "Yeah," he said, "but I'm your idiot if you want me." Kelly groaned and let the door swing open a little wider. "I'm not promising anything," he warned. James's eyes gleamed with happiness. "I'm patient," James murmured and stepped cautiously inside Kelly's small apartment. Kelly closed the door behind him and crossed his arms over his chest, standing a little too far away. "I don't want to get involved with the Mafia," Kelly finally said, breaking the silence. "I don't need more problems in my life, James. My parents didn't leave me anything when they died. I'm just trying to survive, you know. Just finish college and figure things out." James watched him carefully. There was a flicker of understanding in his eyes. "I get it," James replied quietly, his voice steady. "I never asked you to join my world, Kelly. I'm not trying to drag you into it." He paused, stepping closer a bit. "I just want you. The rest of it doesn't matter." Kelly's stomach twisted. The idea of being with someone like James was terrifying. The Mafia life, the danger, the power. "I don't know what to think about this," Kelly admitted, running a hand through his messy hair. "I don't even know what I want." James stepped back, looking apologetic. "I won't push you. I never want to be a problem for you. I should go." Just as he said that, the sound of thunder rolled in, and the sound of heaving rain started. James walked towards the door, but before he could open it, He glanced back at Kelly, raising an eyebrow. You're not really going to send me out in that, are you? Kelly, who had been standing by the couch with his arms folded, tried to keep his expression neutral. It's just rain, he said dismissively. You can't melt from a little water. Just rain, James repeated, stepping closer to the window. He could see the downpour outside, and the sound of thunder echoed through the room. That's not just rain, Kelly. That's the beginning of a full-on storm. Are you sure you want me to go out there? Kelly tried to avoid his gaze, looking out the window. It's just a little thunder, no big deal. As if on cue, a loud clap of thunder shook the windows, causing Kelly to jump a little at the sudden noise. He tried to act unaffected, but James could see right through him. Okay, fine, Kelly muttered, throwing up his hands. You can stay for a while until the storm passes. It looks really bad out there and I'm not that heartless. James smiled to himself, clearly pleased with his victory. I'm glad we're on the same page, he said smoothly, taking off his jacket and hanging it over a chair. I'll try not to be a bother. Great, Kelly muttered sarcastically. James, however, made himself comfortable on Kelly's couch and was now scrolling through Netflix. After a late dinner made mostly of microwaved leftovers, Kelly decided he had enough for the night. James lounged lazily on the couch, stretching out his long legs like he owned the place, flipping through random shows on Kelly's TV like it was his own. Kelly stood there awkwardly, arms crossed, trying to figure out how to kick him off without sounding like a heartless jerk. James caught his stare and flashed him a lazy grin. You know, there's enough room in your bed for two. Kelly almost choked. In your dreams. James shrugged, looking completely unbothered. I'm just saying, it's kind of cold. We could cuddle for warmth, you know, he said casually, eyes glinting with mischief. Kelly spun on his heel before James could say any further. Nope, nope, nope. He stomped to his bedroom, slammed the door shut and locked it with a firm click for good measure. From the other side of the door, James called out, Sleep tight, love. Don't dream too much about me. Kelly buried his face into his pillow and groaned. Why is my life like this? The next morning, Kelly woke up and for a moment, he forgot all about the Mafia's heir sleeping on his couch. That is, until he turned his head and saw something strange on the nightstand beside his bed. A small note, written in elegant cursive. Good morning, sunshine. You look too peaceful to wake, James. Kelly sat up so fast he nearly fell out of bed. What the hell? He swore he locked the door. He knew he locked the door. He even checked it twice before passing out. Kelly glanced wildly around his room, as if James would still be lurking in the shadows only to see no one. He ran a hand through his messy hair, heart racing. How did he even get in here? Had James picked the lock? Was there some secret Moretti family magic he didn't know about? Kelly clutched the note in his hand, glaring at the innocent handwriting. I'm so getting new locks, and maybe new windows, and maybe a new apartment. Kelly tiptoed into the living room expecting to see James still on the couch. But the couch was empty, and there was no James. But then he spotted another little note taped to the fridge. It reads, Had to run. Don't miss me too much. Kelly yanked the paper off the fridge. Unbelievable, he muttered. Shaking his head, Kelly quickly got ready and bolted for campus. Kelly had barely stepped one foot onto the quad when he heard the high-pitched screech of his name. Kelly. Lucy and Tanya came running toward him at full speed, their faces practically glowing with curiosity. Lucy nearly tackled him with a hug, while Tanya kept hopping beside him like a puppy excited for treats. Where have you been? Lucy gasped dramatically. We thought the Mafia boss kidnapped you. You didn't answer our texts or calls. Tanya added, poking his chest accusingly. I'm fine, Kelly hissed. Can you two not announce my Mafia problems to the entire campus? Lucy wasn't fazed. Oh please, you're totally a Mafia wife now. You have the look. What look? Kelly demanded. You're glowing. Did he spend the night? Kelly turned red so fast it was impressive. No, he stammered. Well, yes. But there was a storm. And he slept on the couch. Lucy and Tanya exchanged knowing glances, the kind that made Kelly want to punch them on the face. Sure, Lucy drawled. We get it, Kelly. No judgment. If a Mafia boss wanted me, I'd fold like a lawn chair too, Tanya said. I hate both of you, Kelly muttered darkly, storming ahead toward class while they cackled behind him like witches. As he stomped away, his phone buzzed in his pocket. Kelly groaned. He already knew who it was before he even looked. James. Miss me yet, love? Kelly nearly threw his phone into the nearest trash can. After surviving Lucy and Tanya's relentless teasing and somehow managing to sit through half of his boring art lecture, he was finally able to go get lunch. He had barely stepped off campus when a sleek black van pulled up to the curb just ahead of him. The side door slid open and two huge men in dark suits jumped out, and Kelly instinctively took a step back cautiously. "Hey kid," one of them said with a grin that was anything but friendly. "Boss wants a word." "Nope," Kelly said immediately, turning on his heel. They lunged for him and Kelly sprinted. "Hey!" they shouted behind him, running after him. Kelly bolted down the street like his life depended on it, which, judging by the way those guys were moving, it probably did. He didn't even think, just ran, his heart thundering. He whipped out his phone mid-run, fingers shaking as he dialed the only number he could think of. James picked up on the first ring. "Kelly." His voice was tense like he knew something was wrong. "Where are you?" "I'm being chased," Kelly shouted into the phone, nearly tripping over a trash can. "Two guys, big guys, a van." James swore viciously in Italian on the other end. "Where are?" "I'm near the cafe by Elm Street," Kelly panted. "I'm hiding behind a dumpster. I think I lost them." "You stay right there," James ordered. His voice cracked slightly. "Please, Kelly, don't move. I'm coming." Kelly heard it. The faintest, broken little noise from James. He sounded like he was trying not to break down. Kelly froze behind a dumpster. Was James really that worried about him? Maybe James wasn't just some scary mafia guy. He actually cared. Kelly hugged his phone close, whispering, I'm okay. Just hurry." 7 minutes later, James's black car screeched to a stop in front of him. The door flew open and James jumped out like a man possessed. He hugged Kelly tightly without a word, so tight that Kelly squeaked. "You're okay," James whispered against his hair, voice thick. "You're okay." "I'm fine," Kelly mumbled awkwardly, face burning against James's chest. But James wasn't letting go. In fact, for the rest of the day, James physically refused to be more than a foot away from him. At lunch, James sat next to him like a watchdog. Even when Kelly went to the bathroom, James waited outside the door. After class, Kelly sat stiffly in the leather seat of James's stupidly fancy SUV with his arms crossed. This wasn't how he thought his day would end. "I don't see why I can't just go home," Kelly grumbled, staring out the window at the endless rows of iron gates and fountains as they pulled into James's mansion driveway. "I have locks, you know." James gave him a sharp look. "Locks won't stop men with guns, love." Kelly winced. He hated when James called him that, not because he didn't like it, but because he liked it too much. "My house is safer." James parked and turned to face Kelly, voice softening. "Just stay tonight, please." Kelly stared at him. Was he really that worried about him? After a long sigh, Kelly finally gave in. "Fine, one night." James smiled widely, like he had just won a major battle. Later that night, Kelly lay on the massive guest bed, staring at the ceiling. He couldn't sleep, not even after James had personally shown him every security measure, including the panic room. Finally, after tossing and turning for what felt like forever, Kelly got up and padded down the hall in his pajama pants. He found James sitting alone on the balcony, a glass of whiskey in his hand, looking out over the dark gardens. Kelly hesitated in the doorway. Then, in a small voice he asked, "Why do you even care so much?" James stiffened. For a long moment, he didn't answer. Then he set down his glass. "When I was 7, James said quietly, "my mom took me to a park because I complained about being cooped up at home alone. I didn't understand the danger of the life I was brought in, and I wanted to be a normal kid. Some huge guys came out of nowhere and tried taking my mom. I was right there and I couldn't do anything to help her." Kelly's heart jumped. James continued, voice rough, like he was forcing the words out. "My dad came out of nowhere and tried saving us, but it caused a full-blown mafia fight, resulting to her death, right in front of me. And I just watched." He turned his head, eyes dark. "The worst part was the fact that I caused it, and I promised myself I'd never let someone I care about go through that because of me." Kelly shook his head, stepping closer to meet James's eyes. "It wasn't your fault. You were 7. And how were you supposed to know something like that was going to happen?" Kelly swallowed hard, walking over to meet James until they were just a breath apart. "I'm sorry for wanting you. I know I'm being selfish," James murmured, reaching out like he wanted to touch him but stopping short. "I promise I'm going to protect you." This wasn't James being cocky or possessive. This was real. Kelly didn't know what to say. So, he said the only thing he could. "You're really bad at flirting, you know that." James gave a little laugh. "Not flirting, love." The balcony air grew heavier between them after James's confession. Kelly didn't know when they moved back to the living room, as he was too focused on James looking at him like he wanted to devour him. "I should probably go back to bed," Kelly mumbled, trying to sidestep him. James blocked him easily, a smirk curling at the corner of his lips. "You could," James said lowly. "Or." Kelly's back bumped into the couch. James kept walking forward until Kelly toppled backward onto it with a surprised shriek. "Hey!" Kelly tried to scramble up, but James was already there, one hand pressing into the cushion next to Kelly's head, the other braced against the armrest. His big body caged Kelly in perfectly. Kelly's eyes went wide. They weren't touching, not yet. James's voice dropped to a whisper. "You're lucky I'm being good, Tesoro." Kelly swallowed, too stunned to move. James leaned closer, lips brushing the air above Kelly's mouth. Dangerously close. So close that Kelly's head tilted up instinctively. Then the door swung open. "James," the booming voice barked. Both of them jerked apart like they'd been electrocuted. James's father, Mr. Moretti himself, the terrifying Don of the Moretti family, stood there, arms crossed, glaring at the scene. Kelly almost died on the spot. James cursed under his breath, standing slowly and adjusting his shirt like he hadn't just been 2 seconds from making out with a very much overwhelmed college kid on the couch. Mr. Moretti narrowed his eyes at Kelly, then at James, and muttered darkly, "We need to have a talk." Kelly swallowed. James just sighed, raking a hand through his hair and said tiredly, "Yeah, I figured." Kelly sat stiffly on the couch while James and his father disappeared into the next room. The second they were out of sight, Kelly bolted from the couch, tiptoeing across the marble floor like some kind of spy. He pressed his ear against the wall right beside the slightly open study door, heart pounding. He could hear them talking, or more accurately, Mr. Moretti grilling his son. "You had that poor boy pinned to the couch like a cheap date." Mr. Moretti barked, sounding half horrified and half weirdly impressed. Kelly slapped a hand over his mouth to stop a horrified squeak. Inside, James groaned, "Jesus, Dad, can you not?" Mr. Moretti continued on without mercy. "And what's your plan, eh? Marry him, move him in, start popping out grandkids I can spoil." Kelly almost choked. "I'm 25, James hissed. "We haven't even gone on a real date. But you're Italian, Jimmy. We move fast. If you like him, you court him properly. Flowers, gifts, expensive jewelry. Not," his voice dropped to a whisper, "not dry humping him on my couch like some hormonal teenager." Kelly was seconds away from collapsing into a puddle of second-hand embarrassment. "You're being ridiculous," James muttered. "Ridiculous," Mr. Moretti repeated. "I already told Nona you might be bringing home someone. You should see how excited she is." Kelly's soul left his body. Just then, he mistakenly stumbled forward with a yelp, landing right at James's feet like a guilty dog. Mr. Moretti beamed. "There's the man of the hour." He reached down and helped Kelly up into a bone-crushing hug like they were old friends. "You're practically family already." James covered his face with both hands, muttering, "Kill me, just kill me now." James practically ripped Kelly out of his father's bear hug, dragging him up the grand staircase 2 steps at a time. James kicked open his bedroom door, shoved Kelly inside, and slammed it shut behind them. The second the door clicked, James whirled around, eyes blazing. "You were eavesdropping." Kelly shrugged, biting his lip to hold back a grin. "Your dad was saying very interesting things, Mr. Mafia." James's face, already flushed from embarrassment, darkened another shade of red. "I am never introducing you to my family again," he muttered. Kelly plopped himself dramatically onto James's massive bed. "Oh, come on, Jimmy," Kelly teased, emphasizing the embarrassing nickname his father used. "You can't keep a guy from his future in-laws." James groaned, collapsing face first into the mattress beside him. "You're evil, but I think it's kinda cute." You're planning our wedding already." He shot up, pinning Kelly onto the bed before Kelly could blink, one hand braced by his head, the other firmly gripping Kelly's wrist. Kelly blinked up at him, stunned for about half a second, then suddenly burst out laughing. James looked down at him, blushing even harder now, trying to stay mad but failing miserably. He flopped down next to Kelly. "I hate you," James grumbled into the pillow. "No you don't," Kelly said sweetly. James sighed dramatically. And fortunately, Kelly smiled into the ceiling, heart beating way too fast for his own good. He was so screwed. Kelly was just starting to drift off on James's giant bed when James's phone blared loudly beside him. James groaned and blindly fumbled for it. The screen lit up with a giant heart emoji and the name Nona. James answered with a mumbled, "Nona, it's late." "Late?" Nona's voice screeched through the speaker. "Amor, it's only 10 p.m., and you've been hiding your boyfriend from me." Kelly's eyes widened immediately. "He's not my—" James started, but Nona cut him right off. "I want to meet him tomorrow. Bring him for dinner. Your papa says he's cute. I have cannoli." Then her voice turned sugary sweet. "Tell Kelly he's already family now. No backing out." James covered his face with a pillow. Kelly just stared at him, horrified. "You heard her," James mumbled through the fabric. "You're coming to dinner." Kelly fell back onto the bed groaning. "Why is your whole family like this?" James grinned sideways at him. "You're the idiot who kissed me first." Kelly threw a pillow at his head. The next night, Kelly tried to dress nicely, dark jeans, a button-down shirt, but he still felt like a broke college kid next to James's black tailored suit. The family Moretti mansion smelled like expensive candles and fresh flowers. It was the opposite of what Kelly had expected. James's whole extended family showed up. Aunts, uncles, cousins. It was definitely chaotic and Italian. Nona immediately pulled Kelly into a hug, pinching his cheeks. "Bellissimo, you look even cuter than your picture." She turned to James, smacking his arm. "If you don't marry this one, I will." James gave Kelly a helpless look. Kelly, blushing furiously, thanked her. The dinner was loud, full of food being shoved into Kelly's plate at alarming speeds. Nona kept calling him sweetheart and precious boy. James's cousins kept making obvious kissing faces behind James's back. Kelly tried to survive. He almost made it, until James's terrifying father casually mentioned over dessert. "You know, when I walked in on them the other night, James had the poor boy pinned on the couch." He laughed heartily. Looked like he was about to seconds away from devouring him. Kelly made a choking noise and turned bright red. Nona gasped dramatically and patted Kelly's face. "Little one, are you overheating? Someone get him a wet cloth." James, bright red himself, immediately grabbed Kelly's hand under the table. "Time to go," he muttered. Kelly barely managed to stand without tripping over himself as James dragged him out of the dining room, ignoring Nona calling, "Wait, take some lasagna with you, and the cannoli. You need to keep your strength up for." James cut his Nona off as he slammed the front door behind them so fast. They stood there on the steps panting. After a second, Kelly looked at James, dead serious. "I'm never kissing you again. Ever." James smirked. "We'll see." Kelly cursed under his breath, shoving James lightly, but didn't let go of his hand. The ride back to James's mansion was weirdly quiet. Nona had made him take a Tupperware container filled with food. By the time they made it to the house, a light rain had started. James unlocked the front door and held it open for Kelly. Kelly mumbled a thank you, stepping inside and kicking off his shoes. Kelly moved automatically to the kitchen to put the food away, desperate for something to do with his hands. "You don't have to," James said quietly behind him. Kelly shrugged. "It's fine." He shoved the lasagna into the fridge, and when he turned around, James was leaning against the counter watching him. The air between them stretched taut. Kelly licked his lips without thinking, and James's eyes flicked down to follow the motion. James pushed off the counter in one smooth move, stalking toward him. Kelly instinctively backed up, only to find himself pressed against the fridge. James stopped a breath away. "You scare me," James admitted. "You make me feel like I'm not in control. I hate it." Kelly swallowed, barely able to breathe. "Good," he whispered, surprising even himself. James's eyes darkened and he leaned in so close their noses brushed, their lips almost meeting. Kelly didn't move. He wanted this. God, he wanted this. But somehow James managed to stop. "You're dangerous, Kelly," James muttered. Kelly laughed weakly. Breath-hitching, says the Mafia boss. James laughed too, and after a long moment, James reluctantly pulled back just enough for Kelly to breathe again. Come on, James said quietly, tugging him by the hand. Let's get you to bed before I make dumb decisions. Kelly let him lead him up the stairs, both of them still shaky. They didn't kiss. They didn't touch. But it was worse somehow. The night was long for Kelly. His mind wouldn't shut the hell up. He kept replaying every single moment from the night before. The way James's lips hovered so close to his, the look and raw emotions behind his eyes. It was maddening. Kelly had always thought he was immune to that kind of thing. But with James, it felt like his entire world was suddenly twisted around one person. Kelly groaned into his pillow, frustrated. This wasn't supposed to happen. James Moretti, Mafia Heir, a dangerous man with a dangerous life. He was not the guy Kelly was supposed to fall for. But it was already happening. And that scared him more than he was willing to admit. The next morning, Kelly was just waking up when he heard the door opening. You up? James asked, entering the room. Kelly glanced over his shoulder and nodded, taking in James's disheveled hair and the casual clothes. He was completely different from the intimidating Mafia boss Kelly usually saw. Kelly tried to ignore the skip in his heart at that thought. He didn't need to get attached. I'm heading home, Kelly said. Got exams to prepare for. James didn't say anything at first. His brow furrowed like there was something he wasn't sure how to say. Kelly kept his back turned, but he could feel James's gaze burning on him. You're not going anywhere, James finally said. The command was soft and almost pleading. Kelly froze, heart skipping. You can't keep me here, James. I need to get ready for school. I can't just stay here all the time. James's eyes flickered to his, and for a moment, he saw fear in them. I don't want you out there, Kelly, James said, his voice quieter now, like he was trying not to show how much it bothered him. You don't understand. If you leave, you're putting yourself in danger again. Kelly shook his head, feeling his own frustration bubble up. He turned around to face James now. I appreciate everything you've done. I really do. But I don't want to live in a bubble. I don't want to just hide in your mansion all the time. James ran a hand through his hair. Then I'll protect you, he said quickly. I'll keep you safe. Kelly cut him off. I'm not some fragile thing that needs protecting, James. I know you're not fragile, Kelly, James said, his voice dropping an octave. But I care about you. And if anything happens to you. His words trailed off, and his gaze darkened. I need to go home, Kelly repeated, his voice more firm this time. I'll be fine. I'll be careful. James stood there for a moment, not saying a word. Finally, after what felt like a lifetime, he nodded slowly. All right, he said quietly. Kelly looked at him, hesitated for a second, then turned to gather his things. Before he could leave, James grabbed his arm gently. Just be careful, okay? Call me if anything happens, James said. Kelly could see the vulnerability in his eyes. Kelly swallowed hard, nodding. I will. He gave James one last lingering look, then walked out of the room, hoping to keep his emotions in check. The final exams were finally here. Kelly could feel the weight of it all pressing down on him. He was so close to the end, just one more push and he'd finally have his certificate. It was hard to focus on anything else. His textbooks were everywhere across his small apartment. Kelly has been locked away in his own world of books. Over the past 2 weeks, James had been a constant presence, even from afar. Every day, without fail, Kelly's phone would buzz with a message from James. Lunch for you. It's on the way. Eat something. Don't starve yourself. Or, I ordered you your favorite snacks. Don't pretend you're studying. I know you're probably procrastinating again. Or, let me know when you're done. I'll take you out after finals, yeah. And Kelly would just send back a quick text saying thanks or I'm fine, then buried himself back into his textbooks. But James never stopped. At first, Kelly had tried to resist. He didn't want to rely on anyone, especially someone like James, who had a whole mafia to deal with. Kelly didn't want to be pulled into that world more than he already had been. He didn't want to owe anyone anything. But somehow, James's constant care had wormed its way into his routine. And to be honest, it wasn't all bad. The food was amazing. The thoughtful gestures were kind of sweet. One evening, after a particularly long study session, Kelly was slumped over his desk from exhaustion. His phone buzzed on the table. Kelly reached for it and saw the familiar name flash across the screen. It was James. "You doing okay? Finals got you stressed. Let me know if you need anything." Kelly paused, staring at the message for a few seconds before replying. "I'm fine, just a little stressed." Seconds later, another text came through. "I ordered dinner for you. It's coming in 30 minutes. Don't even think about studying through it. Take a break." Kelly snorted, shaking his head. He didn't have the energy to argue, so he just sent a thank you back, set his phone down again, and tried to force himself to focus. 30 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. The next day, Lucy and Tanya were waiting for Kelly at a coffee shop near his house after successfully convincing him to come out of his apartment. They basically bribed him with coffee. They were both leaning against the counter, sipping on their iced drinks when they spotted Kelly walking by, his face buried in a pile of textbooks. "Hey Kelly," Tanya waved as she caught sight of him. Kelly looked up and adjusted his glasses. "Oh hey guys. You look like you haven't slept in days," Lucy teased, eyeing his disheveled appearance. "Are you sure you're okay? Finals can't be worth looking like you've just crawled out of a cave." "I'm fine," Kelly muttered, rubbing his eyes. "Just need to finish these last few things before Monday." Tanya and Lucy exchanged knowing looks. "You've been holed up here for weeks, huh?" Lucy asked with a grin. "I've seen James's car parked outside every other day." "What's going on there, Kelly? Is it more than just food deliveries?" Kelly stiffened, feeling his cheeks flush. "No, I'm just studying, and I didn't even know he was checking on me okay." Lucy raised an eyebrow, clearly not buying it. "Just checking on you, huh? That's cute." She leaned forward, giving him a mischievous smile. "So, when are you two going to admit you're practically dating?" "I'm not dating him." Kelly's voice was a little too loud, causing a few nearby customers to glance over. Tanya laughed, taking a sip of her drink. Sure. Whatever you say, Kelly. But I'm pretty sure we're all betting on you two getting together soon." Lucy nodded eagerly. "Honestly, I don't know why you're resisting. The guy's a total catch, and he clearly cares about you a lot. I mean, who else would send you food every day and check in on you like that?" Kelly sighed. "I don't know what to do. He's part of that whole Mafia thing and I don't want to get caught up in that mess. I've got enough problems on my own." Tanya put a hand on his shoulder, her expression serious. "You're not in this alone, Kelly, and you don't have to take on everything yourself. Let him help. Let people care about you." Kelly gave them a tight-lipped smile. "I'll think about it." Later that night, after his friends had left and Kelly had returned to his apartment, the doorbell rang again. This time, it wasn't just food. A small package was dropped off. Curious, Kelly opened it to find a small handwritten note from James. "I know finals are tough. Just remember to take care of yourself. You've got this." Kelly's heart clenched a little as he read the words. James was more than just an annoying, overprotective guy in his life. He set the note aside and went back to his textbooks, feeling a little lighter. It was finally the day of Kelly's last exam. The moment he had been working toward for years. The end of college. His heart raced, but this time, it wasn't from the stress of finals. It was the knowledge that once this exam was done, he would graduate and have his certificate and be able to move on to whatever came next. Kelly had woken up early, despite the exhaustion weighing him down, and had gone through his morning routine. As he sat down at the desk to review his notes one last time, his phone buzzed. It was a message from James's dad. "Good luck on your exam, Kelly. I'm rooting for you." Kelly blinked at the message, a little surprised. He hadn't expected Mr. Moretti to reach out, especially considering their last interaction. But the fact that he was supporting him felt nice. Almost like a sign that he had people on his side. He quickly texted back, "Thanks, Mr. Moretti. I'll do my best." With determination, Kelly packed his things and headed out for the exam. 3 hours later, Kelly felt like he could breathe again after walking out of his finals. The pressure of years of studying now lifted. He'd done it. He was officially done with college. But before he could even savor the sweet taste of freedom, Tanya and Lucy showed up, grinning wildly, eager to drag him into some post-exam celebration. "Let's go, Kelly." Tanya practically bounced on the spot. "Time to unwind." Kelly eyed them suspiciously, adjusting the straps of his bag. "I'm kind of exhausted, guys. I don't really feel like hitting up a club tonight." Lucy nudged him, her smirk full of mischief. "Oh, but it's not just any club, Kelly," she teased. "It's the club. You need this." Kelly was about to protest, but Tanya cut him off, practically pulling him along. "Come on, don't be such a party pooper." Reluctantly, Kelly let himself be dragged along. They hopped into a car, Tanya and Lucy chatting excitedly, and Kelly, a bit lost in thought, didn't notice the direction they were heading. The car came to a sudden stop, and Kelly stared out the window. They weren't at any club he recognized. Instead, they were parked in front of a beach. A secluded beach, where the soft sound of waves crashing against the shore filled the air. "What the hell?" Kelly asked, confused. "I thought we were going to a club." Lucy flashed a sly grin. "Well, this is way better than any club. Trust us." Kelly stepped out of the car cautiously. It was late evening, the golden light of the setting sun reflected in the water. But as soon as he stepped onto the beach, his gaze fell on someone standing near the water. It was James, in nothing but a pair of swim trunks. He looked effortlessly gorgeous. His hair was a bit tousled from the ocean breeze, and his smirk was enough to send a jolt of happiness through Kelly's body. "Hey, you're not too bad yourself, Lucy," James said politely. He glanced at Kelly and gave him a playful wink. Kelly couldn't help but feel his face heat up as his heart did a little flip. What's going on here?" Kelly asked, trying to sound nonchalant. James took a step closer, that same playful glint in his eye. "Well, I heard your two best friends were planning to drag you to a club, so I thought I'd make it a bit more interesting. A little beach date, just you and me." Kelly's jaw dropped. "What? This was planned?" "Surprise," James teased. Tanya and Lucy, obviously pleased with themselves, waved at Kelly. "We'll leave you two alone," Tanya called with a wink. "Have fun, Kelly." Before Kelly could protest, the two of them disappeared into the distance, leaving Kelly with James. "So, are you going to tell me what this is?" Kelly asked, kicking a little sand toward him playfully. James grinned. "You'll see. Come on." Kelly followed him and they walked for a while, before Kelly stopped dead in his tracks. Spread out on a massive blue checkered blanket was an actual feast. Sandwiches, bowls with juicy fruit, plates of cookies, bottles of lemonade, even a ridiculous fancy cheese platter. It looked like something straight out of a movie. Kelly blinked, stunned, while James sat on the blanket, pulling Kelly down with him. "What the hell is all this?" Kelly asked, stunned. James beamed. "A picnic, obviously. You've been busting your ass for finals. You deserved a break." Kelly blinked again. "You made all this?" James snorted. "I tried, but my grandma helped." He picked up a plate of meatballs with toothpicks stuck in them. "These, specifically, are not as famous make you forget your sins meatballs. She sent extras in case you're a big sinner." Kelly huffed out a laugh, cheeks warming. "I think you need those more than me." James playfully scoffed, making Kelly's cheeks hurt from smiling. They sat together under the setting sun, eating and throwing sarcastic jabs back and forth. James was different now, softer, less the intimidating Mafia prince Kelly knew when they first met. It was easy to relax around him. At one point, Kelly even threw a grape at James's head, hitting him square between the eyes. James froze dramatically, clutched his forehead like he was dying, then tackled Kelly down into the sand-dusted blanket, both of them laughing too hard to breathe. Kelly's heart thumped wildly as he stared up at James. Their bodies were too close. The laughter faded into something heavier. James's hand stayed on Kelly's chest. James's voice went lower, rougher. "I want to kiss you." Kelly swallowed thickly. "Then kiss me." James's lips quirked into a playful smirk, the usual cockiness shining through. "Now, I don't kiss people who don't like me." Kelly blinked. "Are you serious?" James shrugged, casually. "Yup." For a second, Kelly just stared at him, then growled in frustration, grabbed James's stupidly muscular arms, and yanked him down. He crushed their mouths together in a fierce kiss. James froze for a heartbeat, then kissed him back, deep and hungry like he'd been waiting forever. When Kelly finally pulled back, both of them breathless, Kelly smirked up at him. "Does that answer your question, idiot?" he muttered. James just stared at him, stunned for a beat, then grinned so wide it practically split his face. Loud and clear, college boy. They stayed like that for a long moment, tangled up in each other on the blanket. Kelly didn't think about finals, about his parents, about the heavy things waiting for him outside this beach. It was just James and this feeling of happiness. Kelly cleared his throat and muttered, half serious, half trying to sound casual. "So does this mean we're dating now?" James blinked, and then of course his mouth curled into the slowest, most devilish grin imaginable. He shifted his weight slightly, pinning Kelly more firmly into the blanket, making Kelly very aware of their bodies pressed together. "Wow," James teased, voice dropping low and cocky. "You're really asking to date the dangerous, scary Mafia guy." Kelly rolled his eyes hard enough he almost saw the back of his skull. "Oh my God, shut up. You're barely scary." James barked out a laugh, resting his forehead lightly against Kelly's for a second, the edges of his grin softening. "But yeah," he said more seriously, almost a little shy. "If you'll have me, Kelly, I'd really like that. Dating, I mean." Kelly's chest skipped at the glimpse of vulnerability in James's eyes. He punched James lightly in the shoulder. "I mean, if you stop acting like a clown every 2 minutes, maybe I'll consider it." James laughed again, looking like someone had just handed him the whole damn world. "No promises, boyfriend," he said, dragging out the word in a ridiculous tone. Kelly shoved him harder this time, face burning. "Stop calling me that." James only laughed harder, flopping onto his back next to Kelly, looking up at the darkening sky with a giant, stupid, content smile. "I'm glad you kissed me that night, you know," James murmured. Kelly laughed softly. "I thought you were gonna kill me." "Now," James grinned, "I knew you were mine the second you looked up at me like that." Kelly stayed quiet for a few seconds, watching him. Maybe dating the bad Mafia guy was the craziest idea he ever had. But for once, crazy didn't feel so scary. The end. Turns out, trying to kidnap the very obvious crush of James Morty was equivalent to signing a death wish. The gang that tried kidnapping Kelly hideout was raided within hours. James simply watched from a distance, arms crossed, while his men did the dirty work. James never told Kelly the full details, just said with a smile, "They won't be bothering you again." And he slept better at night, knowing that James Morty would burn the world if anyone tried to take him again.